In Peru, labor unions, social organizations, and progressive parties called for a new national march on Tuesday to demand the resignation of President Dina Boluarte, the holding on early elections, and the dissolution of the Congress. In France, over 1 million demonstrators are expected to take to the streets again on Tuesday to protest against the government's plan to reform the country's pension system. Pope Francis began his visit to the African continent with a stop at the Democratic Republic of the Congo and South Sudan on Tuesday. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the TeleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. On Tuesday, Peruvian labor unions, social organizations, and progressive parties called for a new national march to demand the resignation of President designated Dina Boluarte, the holding of early elections, and the dissolution of Congress. The General Confederation of Peruvian Workers and the National Assembly of the Peoples specified that this call is similar to the January 19, when delegations from different regions of the country marched through Lima to voice their demands. The organizers of the massive mobilizations indicate that they will gather in the central 2 de Mayo square in the afternoon to demand once again the resignation of the president in charge, Dina Boluarte. In addition to the Peruvian capital, mobilizations are expected in other regions of the country that have been on strike since early January. Meanwhile, the Peruvian Congress will resume on Tuesday the debate of the advocate of elections. Jose Williams, president of the Congress, ordered that the parliament resume the discussions on the matter on Tuesday starting at 11 a.m. local time, since there has been non-conscious consensus among the branches. The Congress will have to decide on this date whether or not to protect will be approved. Before the decision was adjourned, the minimum 66 votes were reached in order for the general elections to be obtained again. Ends a great discussion among legislators. Early Saturday morning, the parliament had rejected the initiative to advance elections for this year, with 45 votes in favor and 65 against and 2 abstentions. Cuba's Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez met with his Panamanian counterpart Janina Tawainera Menkumu during her official visit to the Caribbean island. During the meeting, both parties talked about the good state of bilateral relations and agreed on the importance of the visit to continue boosting economic and commercial ties and to explore new exchange opportunities. The Cuban high official thanked Panama for its support in favor of the lifting of the economic, commercial, and financial blockade imposed by the U.S. against the Caribbean island, which has intensified in recent years.
There are many challenges and common elements in our international agenda. In a complicated and difficult international context, where at the same time we find additional opportunities for our bilateral ties that have an excellent evolution and perspective in the progress of the community of Latin American and Caribbean states, and in the common opportunity that it offers to our region.
We know there is the possibility of greater trade relations, and that is why we are here today, accompanied by our Minister of Trade and Industries, together with several advisors of the Republic of Panama, with the understanding that it is that role, that in passing we congratulate you for the presidency of the G77, that it is that role. We both have to carry it out for the unity, also for our continent and our region.
In London, Voltor Fund CRFI Limited admitted its representation to sue the National Bank of the Republic of Cuba for non-payments during the first week of the trial of the lawsuit filed by the Cayman Island entity before the High Court of England. At the trial, the witnesses questioned by the England barristers defending the National Bank of the Republic of Cuba admitted that a lawsuit was considered as an option since they tried to illegally acquire 2 Cuban debt titles at low prices and to condition possible agreements with the BNC and the Republic of Cuba as the only option to avoid a lawsuit. We'll take a very short break now, but remember you can now follow us on our TikTok account as TeleSUR English, in which you will be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. Brazilian President Luis Ignacio Lula da Silva reaffirmed his country's commitment to peace, rejecting the shipment of arms and ammunition to the conflict in Ukraine. Following his meeting with the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, the Brazilian president proposed the creation of a group of countries that could contribute to resolving the conflict in Ukraine. Lula that China has a very important role to play for the construction of such as a peacemaking group. Therefore, the Brazilian head of state assured that if he travels to Beijing in March, he will speak with President Xi Jinping about the possibility of a negotiating table between Russia and Ukraine. Since January 27th, Lula da Silva had rejected the German government's request for a shipment to tank ammunition to be transferred to Kiev.
Brazil has no interest in sending ammunition to be used between Russia and Ukraine. Brazil is a country of peace. Our last conflict was in the Paraguayan War. Brazil does not want to have any participation, not even indirectly, because I believe that at this moment in the world, we should be looking for those who can help find peace between Russia and Ukraine.
In Brazil, German Minister of Cooperation Esperance Schulz said Germany will provide financial support for the protection and conservation of the Amazon rainforest. The announcement follows a meeting in Brasilia with the Brazilian Minister of Environment, Marina Silva. Berlin plans to donate 35 million euros to the Amazon Fund, resources that will be designated to an environmental prevention project frozen since 2019. Germany had interrupted, together with Norway, its cooperation with the fund due to the lack of commitment for former Brazilian far-right President Jair Bolsonaro to the protection of the rainforest.
We also face an opportunity to reverse this whole situation, surging fires and clear-cutting in the rainforest. Based on the guidelines that have been given by President Lula to combat inequality with democracy and sustainability. And for that, we are looking for partnerships that could help us to make Brazil fulfill its objective of complying with its commitments under the Paris Agreements. We both agree, Marina Silva and I, to strengthen our cooperation very quickly. And that is why we have set up a program for the first 100 days to act quickly and fill the Amazon Fund, which we are doing with 35 million euros. We are going to support the new Regional Aid Fund with 31 million euros. We have also agreed on other things to help reforest degraded areas, that is, to help farmers in a very concrete way.
North Atlantic Treaty Organization Secretary General John Stoltenberg met with Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida in Tokyo to discuss several issues, among them the conflict in Ukraine. Stoltenberg in Japan, as part of his East Asian tour, said the security of the organization and the Asian nation is closely interconnected and called for stronger ties with Japan as the conflict in Ukraine raises global danger and shows countries need stronger partnerships. Japan has been quick to join the United States-led economic sanctions against Russia and provide non-combatable defense equipment to Kiev. Japan is already close allies to the U.S., has in recent years expanded its military ties with other Indo-Pacific nations, as well as Britain, Europe, and NATO. French labor leaders hopes to bring more than 1 million demonstrators again into the streets on the last clashes with the government over its plans to push back France's retirement age. For both sides, the nationwide strike and protests are an important test. On one hand, French President Emmanuel Macron's government said it is determined to push through his election pledge to reform the country's pension system. On the other, labor unions and left-wing legislators fighting in parliament against Macron's plans are counting on the protesters to turn out massively to strengthen their efforts to kill the bill. A first round of strikes and protests brought out between 1 million and 2 million demonstrators early this month, including many tens of thousands in Paris. Doctor strikes in Spain continue in several autonomous communities from north to south of the country. Our correspondent in Spain, Sergio Rodrigo, with the story.
Doctor at this health center. She's on strike despite the fact that he has been called off. She denounces the pressure on the healthcare system and the lack of possibilities to attend to the sick.
Many of us primary care doctors have decided to bat the strike because the situation that primary care and the work of primary care doctors is going through is becoming more and more unsustainable. The pressure on the healthcare system is overwhelming. On the one hand, we have the patients who complain that they can't find an appointment for the doctor when they need it. There are patients who said the wait is from 7 to 10 or 14 days long.
In Andalusia, the majority union has called off the strike after an agreement with the health authorities, but some professionals have not accepted the decision and continue on strike to stop the collapse of the health system.
Now we spend all morning in the office exclusively seeing patients on a piece rate basis. Many appointments during a miserable amount of time, and we are expected to continue doing so. They have assigned 35. 12 out of 35. But that means that we have to stay all morning doing the same thing we were doing before, if we want to do it right.
Patients continue to denounce the problems they face to find a doctor, a task that is delayed and that forces patients to go to the emergency department.
When I ask for a doctor's appointment, I need to wait up to 3 weeks or a month, and this is not normal. But if I need a doctor, I don't wait. I go to emergencies. I think that what they need is more personnel. People are also protesting about salary, but they need personnel. This is the first thing.
Catalonia, Madrid, Galicia, Andalusia. Healthcare protesters are spreading all over Spain. The health workers want more staff and better conditions to treat the population in a public health service that is increasingly wounded.
Sergio Rodrigo y Lucía Muñoz, TeleSUR, España.
We have more news coming up after this financial break, so don't go away. Welcome back. Pope Francis begins his fourth international visit with a stop at the Democratic Republic of the Congo and South Sudan on Tuesday. The central purpose of the trip, which will end on February the 5th, according to the Vatican Press Office, is to bring a message of peace to the two countries, designing by words, and to address issues related to climate change and exploitation in the African continent. Accompanying the highest authority of the world's Catholics of the planet is the Vatican delegation and more than 17 journalists. The Pope is scheduled to land at the airport of Kinshasa, the capital of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. A new death toll from the suicide bomb on Monday inside the mosque of the city of Peshawar, northern Pakistan, shows that 90 people have been killed and 221 injured. The Pakistani authorities reported that 10 of the 221 wounded are seriously injured and the other 100 are under medical treatment. The local police assured that there could still be people under the rubble of the scarred site, so they do not rule out that the new balance of victims could increase. Although police investigations indicate that the Taliban group responsible for the massacre, a subsequent communique from the group denied any involvement in this event. Authorities in Burkina Faso said on Tuesday that at least 28 people were killed in an attack by armed men, including 15 who have been abducted over the weekend. 15 bullet-riddled bodies were found on Monday near the Linguiquero, a town in the western province of Comeo. Regional Governor Colonel Jean-Charles Zom said in a statement. The 15 victims were among 24 people brought to minibuses from Monfort that were stopped in the Linguiquero by the gunmen on Sunday. The government added, in another attack, 10 military policemen, 2 members of an auxiliary army support forces, and a civilian were killed in northern Burkina Faso in a terrorist attack perpetrated on Monday in the town of Falangourour, the army said. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas called on the director of the Central Intelligence Agency, William Burns, for the United States to put pressure on Israel to stop its crimes in the occupied territories. The Wafa news agency reported that during a meeting on Sunday in Ramallah, Abbas warned of the dangers of the systematic attacks by Tel Aviv's forces and instead on the importance of restarting dialogue in order to reach a peace agreement that will allow the Palestinian people to obtain their rights. Palestinian authorities have repeatedly demanded Joe Biden's administration to take measures against their allies. On Monday, the Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived on Jerusalem for the meeting with the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. And the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken called Monday for an urgent steps to calm spiraling violence in Israeli-Palestinian conflict after high-level talks in Jerusalem. Washington's top diplomat traveled to Jerusalem on the second leg of his Middle East tour after the meeting with Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Foreign Minister in Cairo. Following talks with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Blinken urged all sides not to take urgent steps to restore calm to de-escalate. And we want to make sure that there is an environment in which we can, and I hope at some point, create the conditions where we started to restore a sense of security for the Israel and Palestinian alike. In Syria, and unidentified aircraft had a truck loaded with ammunition belonging to Iranian-banned militias in the country. The incident left 1 fatality. The attack took place on the border between Syria and Iraq. The report was confirmed by the Syrian Human Rights Observatory. According to this institution, a tanker exploded in the town of Al-Shuaya in Al-Bukamal camp east of Deir Ezzor province. Early, some media had reported that on Sunday, suspected Israeli drones had attacked a convoy of 25 trucks in the same area, which in the last 24 hours recorded 3 rounds of airstrikes. The Red Cross International Committee stated on Monday that several medical facilities were destroyed and looted during the 2 years of fighting in the Tigray region. The committee added the difficult situation does not allow the health services such as the international organization, Doctors Without Borders, to intervene effectively to treat patients. According to the Ethiopian Red Cross Society, thousands of people have died due to the lack of health care over the past month in the Tigray region. We have come to the end of this brief. You can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram as well.
Un canto